As tens of thousands of refugees arrive across the border from Sudan into Chad, much of the international assistance offered by the UN and aid groups has focused on water, food and other basic services to refugees. But refugees like 18-year-old Abdelnasser Mohammed says there is desperate need for education too. His hopes of going to university have been dashed by Sudan's civil war, which started on April 15th, triggering intercommunal violence in his hometown in West Darfur. He had to flee to Chad without his parents.
My mom and dad traveled to Khartoum to get medical treatment. They were stuck there because of the conflict, so they couldn't come with me. It's only me and my siblings.
Mohammed says he has not heard from his parents in weeks and does not know if they're alive or dead. He now lives in this tiny makeshift shelter with his brothers and sisters and says there is no way to take his Sudanese university entrance exams. Malek, Mohammed, a teacher who has just fled to Chad from West Darfur, laments the squalid conditions that the children he used to teach are now forced to live in.
All the students, pupils, and teachers from the schools are now here. Here, we don't have the right environment for education, and it's a huge challenge, especially in the long term. If we have to stay for a longer period, there'll be no learning, which causes problems in society later on.
Mohammed says teachers are trying to work out a way for children to take Sudanese exams in Chad. The government in Khartoum has ceased to function since the civil war started, so coordination looks unlikely. Education Cannot Wait, ECW, is the United Nations Fund for Education in Times of Crisis. The organisation's director, Yasmin Sharif, made a visit to Chad in May, pledging $3 million to Chad for educational needs. She was asked why she thinks it's necessary to support education, even when the need for basics like food and water is so high.
Empower them to raise out of the ashes of that suffering. You don't empower them with water and food. These are necessities, but that alone is not going to empower them and prevent them from all the protection challenges, such as gender-based violence, sexual abuse, getting into armed groups, and sort of not giving them any hope for the future.
Sudan's war's impact on children is not confined to education. The UN announced on May 12th that a Sudanese factory producing 60% of specialised food used to treat child malnutrition in the country was destroyed in the fighting.
All of this increases the risk of not being able to reach children in time. If we can't reach children in time, then there's a greatly increased risk of those children dying.
As for Mohammed, he says,
The war has had a huge impact on my plans. All the dreams I've had since my childhood won't be realized.
Tens of thousands of Sudanese children will find themselves in the same situation. Henry Wilkins for VOA News, Borota, Chad.